Good morning, good to see you all, and I hope you have a great Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm gonna read Acts chapter 27, 26 to 44. Nevertheless, we must run on ground on some island. On the 14th night, we are still being driven across Adriatic Sea. When about midnight, the sailors sensed they were approaching land. They took sounding and found that the water was 120 feet deep. A short time later, they took sounding again and found it was 90 feet deep. Fearing that we would be dashed against the rock, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daylight. In an attempt to escape from the ship, the sailors let the lifeboat down into the sea, pretending they were going to lower some anchors from the bow. Then Paul said to the centurion and soldiers, "Unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved." So soldiers cut the ropes that held the lifeboat and let it drift away. Just before the dawn, Paul urged them all to eat. For the last 14 days, he said, they have you have been in constant suspense and have gone without food. You haven't eaten anything. Now I urge you to take some food. You need it to survive. Not one of you will lose a single hair from his head. After he said this, he took some bread and gave thanks to God in front of them all. Then he broke it and began to eat. They were all encouraged and ate some food themselves. All together, there was 276 of us on board. When they had eaten as much as they wanted, they lightened the ship by throwing the grain into the sea. When daylight came, they did not recognize the land, but they saw the bay with a sandy beach, where they decided to run the ship aground if they could. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea, and at the same time untied the ropes that held the rudders. Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind and made for the beach. But the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. The bow stuck fast and would not move, and the stern was broken to pieces by the pounding of the surf. The soldier planned to kill the prisoner to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping. But the centurion, wanting to spare Paul's life, kept them from carrying out the plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land. The rest were to get there on planks and on other pieces of ship. In this way, everyone reached the land safely. If you still remember the 3 points at the last sermon, a leader is trustworthy, and second, a leader is beloved, and third, leader is responsible. These are the being or characteristic of a leader. As we are on Acts chapter 27, I'd like to share the formal characteristic of leadership on action. If you still remember the last sermon on the first point, characteristic of a leader on action, first, leader runs to God first for the community. This is because the leadership shown here does not come from Paul's personal character, but based on his faith and his relationship with God. Here is the second point. A leader comfort the community. Let's read verses 20 to 22 together. When neither sun nor stars appear for many days, the storm continued raging. We finally gave up all hope of being saved. After they had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up before them and said, "Men, you should have taken my advice not to sail from Crete. Then you would have spared yourselves this damage and loss. But now I urge you to keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost, only the ship will be destroyed." Here it seems Paul is saying, "I told you told you so," to criticize and blame those who didn't listen to him. But if we listen to what Paul said afterwards, we can tell Paul's real intention is to comfort and encourage the people, not to blame or criticize them. Paul realized that everyone was exhausted and had given up hope of being saved, and the people may not pay attention to his comforting words, just as they had previously ignored his warning. Thus, Paul was prompting them to pay attention and to listen to him now, reminding them of how they got into this trouble by not paying attention to him in the past. In other words, Paul was using "I told you so" to get people's attention, get them to listen to his words so that they could be encouraged and comforted. A good leader refrains from criticizing and blame even if there had been mistakes or wrongdoings. A good leader focuses on comforting, encouraging, and moving forward from the present. Isaiah is a prophecy written in the anticipation of the destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, captivity in Babylon. However, while Isaiah 1 to 39 gives message about God's judgment, Isaiah 40 to 66 focuses on comfort and hope because of a coming Messiah and the new Jerusalem, which can be the kingdom of God in the New Testament, especially in Isaiah 40, which starts with a message of comfort, starting with comfort my people. Criticism or rebuke comes from evaluating things from your position or a third person point of view, but comforting comes from putting yourself in the other person's shoes and understanding the person's position or situation. Therefore, our methods for comforting should vary depending on the heart of the person we want to comfort. When someone is down, we need to find something valuable within him and lift him up. When someone is confused or anxious, we need to comfort him by providing assurance. When someone is sad, we need to listen so that the sadness can come out of him. When someone loses joy, We need to help him find something interesting or exciting. When someone has anxiety and fear, we must give him assurance. This is what Paul is doing at this point in the passage. The heart of people on the ship were full of fear and they were suffering from the anxiety because of it. So Paul speaks boldly, but now I urge you to keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost, only the ship will be destroyed. So keep up your courage, man, for I have faith in God that will happen just as He told me. Again,